because the topic is, are Torah Knights teaching Freemasonry and Kabbalah? Now, I don't want to hear if you accuse me of that, and because I'll just make a video showing Shalimar and them, Red Flag Media, Flat Mind Media, Shalimar. They all said I'm teaching Freemasonry and Kabbalah. So if I'm doing that, then stand on that.
We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft.
12 miles to the east of Denver is the scene of a shooting this morning. Police there were called shortly after midnight.
What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing.
Now, it seems like we have teachers in Israel, quote-unquote teachers in Israel. I know some of you won't follow the Israelite community like that, but it may still be interesting watching, because we're going to be talking a lot about Freemasonry and Kabbalah. Why is that? I brought up the fact to a brother that his teachings were Kabbalistic, they had elements of Kabbalah, and instead of actually addressing the facts, we had a 3-hour rant where we heard things like,
Go ahead, Flat Mind Media. What you got to say now? Come on my comment board and talk shit. What's going on, nigga? Hey, Flat Mind Media. Do we have a North and South Pole? You stupid motherfucker. You're retarded. You're a goddamn idiot, nigga. And your channel is for fucking retards.
And that just goes to show that there's some truth in what we're saying here, right? When you can't address the facts and you have to deflect by slander. For those of you who don't know who this character is, you may remember him from a Flat Earth argument I have posted on my channel.
When is water ever flat?
Put water in a basin and make it curve. Yeah, make that curve.
I can't.
Now, this guy's name, or what he calls himself, is Judah Natsara. He has his group that he's made named the Torah Knights. And we're going to look into their doctrine a little later. But first, let me give you an introduction into the characters of the Torah Knights. And we'll see what you think. Just after a little expose, I would say there's 3 constant members. One is Traytel Thomas. The other calls himself Negi Springfield.
Shalom. This is the Torah Knights. We got Negi Springfield and we got Traytel Thomas on.
And the other, Judah Natsara. Let's start with Traytel. Have a little listen to what he has to say.
She said it, monkey nigga killer. She was black. Oh, God. She had a donkey booty and a skin complexion of a mud-covered catfish.
What?
Yeah, black.
Okay, that's...
I hope all of you self-hating, hair-headed harlots get thrown into a pit and they fill up the hole with rattlesnake venom.
Oh, jeez.
All the way up to your nappy-headed nigger necks.
Damn.
Your ratchet, self-hating, spit-swallowing, eye mucus catching orangutans. If you start making your butt clap for weave and Instagram likes, you swamp donkey manholes. Most of y'all got a vagina odor that could gag a skunk. Black monkeys, that funky monkey. One sniffy could kill a donkey.
Oh, God. You're an idiot.
That's just about enough of that, okay? Someone's been listening to too much Tommy Sotomayor. I don't know if this guy's even black or he's just wearing the most convincing blackface in the world, because nobody should be speaking about their own people, or any people, like that at all. Like, it's just completely ridiculous, and if anyone sees that as righteous, then I don't know what to tell you. I think you have been given a good enough picture of that character, so let's move on to the next one. Now I'm going to show you a clip of a conversation that was had in the one show that I was on, right? Between Lamad Yara, who is actually a good brother, he's left this cult now, and Negi Springfield. And it should be enough just to let you know exactly who this person is.
And then it said that I will stick to do what thou wilt. I found that very, very confusing when Negi said, I will just stick to do what thou wilt, opposed to I will just stick to the Torah.
I can explain that because everyone believes that phrase is associated with Satanism. I can go over that it's not, but it isn't.
Wait, do what thou wilt is not associated with Satanism?
It's falsely associated, but it doesn't
Was Aliester Crowley a pedophile?
I don't believe so. No. When it comes to the information that he wrote about, he did write about a lot of interesting things, and I did learn to some extent from him.
I rest my case. I mean, anyone who's done any amount of research knows who Aliester Crowley is, right? How are you keeping the scriptures and learning from Aliester Crowley? I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. And I did actually mention this in the show. Don't worry, I wasn't just quiet, but I let them speak. If that wasn't enough to convince you, shout outs to the brother Chris Harris. If you're into the scriptures from an Israelite point of view, please check out his channel. I will leave a link in the description. But he showed this picture, which was taken by Nagy Springfield, posted just 3 days ago. And, you know, I censored it a little bit. That's all it needed. I won't keep the picture up for too long. But these are not people who are following the scriptures. This is my point, right? And this is the basis that I need to build it on before I start going at Judah and the doctrines. You need to understand that none of these people really mean what they say when they're talking about the scripture, because they're doing something the total opposite of what the scriptures represent. Now let's start with his icon, right? He would claim that this is the scriptural Star of David, right? The only problem is he can't show me one scripture where there's anything even close to the Star of David. Actually, no, I lie, right? In Acts 7, verse 43, they talk of the Star of Molech, right? The star that was used when they were sacrificing children to the fire. But yet he wears this around his neck. He has this, pushes this symbol everywhere, with no scriptural basis. It is the Star of Remphan, the Star of Molech, and he will not defend it. You'll just skirt around the question if you ask him. So that's strike one.
Quadash, they were holy, right? They were sanctuary. So what it's really saying is, for 3 days, the youths, in their 3 degrees, their inward vessels, these are all vessels, in their 3 degrees, in their 3 degrees, in their 3 degrees.
Okay, there are multiple problems with that. In their 3 degrees of what, Judah? There are no 3 degrees of scripture. Moses was not up on the mount saying, I've initiated into the 3rd degree. This is the kind of stuff that he's teaching, but where does it come from? Look at the image of that temple. We know this isn't scriptural. We know just by looking at it where it comes from.
You got the eye, Ayashawan, which is Proverbs chapter 7, verse 2. The pupil, the apple of the eye. The fountain, it signifies the inward man. The man of the Torah, inward man, inward man, inward man.
Notice how he had to tack on man of the Torah after saying inward man. He says inward man in almost all of his lessons. Now keep in mind, this guy is meant to be Old Testament centered. He's constantly denouncing Christianity. But where does inward man come from? It's a Pauline term. In the Bible dictionary, it says it's nearly identical with the hidden man of the heart, featured in 1 Peter 3 and 4, Romans 7 and 22, 2 Corinthians 4 and 16, Ephesians 3 and 16. This term is nowhere in the so-called Old Testament scriptures. This is the beginning of a pattern where he takes pieces of separate ideologies and mixes them together to add depth to something that is actually straightforward. Let's keep it going.
Who absorbs spiritual light, just as the physical eye absorbs physical light, right? The spiritual eye, which is inwardly, absorbs spiritual light.
The spiritual eye, also known as the 6th chakra or the 3rd eye in both Hinduism and Buddhism. It comes from Lord Shiva, who is actually one of the Hindu gods, the destroyer and the restorer. They consider his right eye the sun, his left eye the moon, and his 3rd eye representing of spiritual wisdom and knowledge. He uses the 3rd eye to protect good ones from evildoers. This is Hinduism and Buddhism. It's another example of adding pieces from other theologies in order to complicate and convolute something that is actually simple, right?
When you see the 3D cube, you're looking at the shield of David, but you're looking at the lines drawn in, connecting it. Okay? Look. The physical, the spiritual. So, if someone says, I don't believe in God, blah, 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 them niggas don't understand mathematics or science. Because, clearly, from the shield of David, if you connect all the dots and the angles, you're going to get a 3D cube, which means what? There are lines and laws that are unseen.
Sacred geometry, Merkaba, Metatron's cube. This is what he's describing, Metatron's cube. If you connect all the lines in the Star of David, it's Metatron's cube. It goes back to Greek philosophy, the Platonic solids, right? This is not scriptural, right? What does Merkaba mean, right? Mer means light, Ka means spirit, Ba means body, right? It's the same thing with this temple man. It's all kind of connected, but it's not so-called Old Testament. It's mysticism, okay? We know where these things come from. You can't just throw these things together and think nobody's going to pay attention, okay? Maybe you're going to trick some people, and you have tricked some people for some time, but it stops now. Let's keep it going.
Part 2, we're back. Keep in mind, Yah told you to follow the Torah. The commandments are in the mind, in here, in the Ark of the Covenant, in the mind, which is also the tree of life as well, too. Also the tree of life, also the tree of life, also the tree of life.
Are Torah Knights teaching Freemasonry and Kabbalah?
Also the tree of life as well, too. Also the tree of life as well, too. Also the tree of life as well, too. Also the tree of life, also the tree of life, also the tree of life as well, too.
Oh, how dare Chris Harris and I ever accuse you of teaching Kabbalah? I mean, you're only teaching the Tree of Life, Sacred Geometry, Merkaba, the Temple Man. I mean, I must be losing my damn mind, right? That's not Jewish mysticism. I mean, how could it be? Listen, Judah, I haven't even touched on the lies, the attacks, the slanders, the way you contradict yourself, the way you attack all your own brothers. Anybody who leaves your little coat, you turn your knife on them straight away, you start attacking them. I'm glad I was never a part of your little group. I saw through that. I joined one of your little shows to talk with you, but even that went badly because you're pushing the globe of all things as if the scriptures talk of a globe. Apparently you think there are planets and God, it doesn't even matter. That's besides the point. You are a liar, you are a deceiver, and you know what you're doing. Because we are exposing you, and you are pretending like nothing is going on. A real person would at least comment on it, would at least address it, but that's not what you're doing. You're turning it around. You're attacking. We see through you now. It's a wrap. If you want to keep with your little teachings, fine. Go over to Israel with the Jews over there and do it to the people who it concerns. Because this is not the people here. Okay? The people who really want to follow the Most High, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the real people. You're not a part of that. Because that's not what you're teaching. You want to turn the blade on everybody else, but you don't want to look at yourself. And that's the problem. This has been Red Flag Media. I am out.